Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Pleasure to have you here in the audience listening to my session on driving automotive excellence, strategic insights into API management and security. Let me introduce me first. My name is Heiko, and I skip the first slide. I'm an identity guy by heart, so I'm in the identity and cybersecurity industry for more than 18 years now. Currently, my role is the Chief Marketing and Sales Officer at IC Consult. And before that, I did a lot of consulting, business consulting and technical consulting. And basically, I had the pleasure to work for all German premium automotive brands. So I worked for BMW, Porsche, Mercedes, Volkswagen, and others, which is a great experience when you are into cars and when you are into IT and identity and access management, because it means a lot to connect a connected car with their IT stack in the headquarters. What am I talking today about? First of all, I will give you a short introduction into the connected car ecosystem for those who are not that into the details. Then I will show you a couple of automotive use cases to get a better understanding. What can you do with cars, with connected cars and APIs? As a disclaimer, all those things are public knowledge. So basically, I was trying to pick information and double check information that are openly published by the automotive manufacturers. So this is a cool thing for you to dive into the details as well. I've provided on every slide the source link. So if you have ambitions to check out the APIs, to register at the developer portals, just check the link in the bottom right corner and go ahead. And my talk concludes with security considerations in this whole sphere of identity and access management, APIs, and the connected car ecosystem. If you want to get in touch, my LinkedIn QR code is there. So grab your mobile phone, take a picture, and send me a connecting request on LinkedIn. Coming to the background, the involvement of connected cars. So basically, experts expect in 2030, so in roughly 6 years, that 96% of all new cars shipped worldwide are expected to be connected cars. That's a huge number. And for us as users, for us as drivers of cars, it makes absolutely sense because we are connected in all areas of our daily life. Instead, the standard old traditional cars, which have been a non-connected experience in the past, and depending on what your brand are driving, if you're driving a very up-to-date Tesla, BMW, or Mercedes, you will have a good connected experience. But there are still cars out there who have just an engine and nothing more. And what do the automotive OEMs try to achieve with the connected car? Let's have a look into kind of enhancing aspects that enhance connectivity and convenience for customers and drivers of cars. And basically, the connected car is more or less transforming the industry from a pure metal-based thing into a rolling computer on the road. I picked out 4 important aspects from my point of view. The one thing is telematics. So when you're driving, that you get real-time information on traffic, parking situation, on hazard warnings, and all this stuff. So basically, a clear improvement to get a better understanding where you are going to. But also, telematics in the sense that the connected car is talking with the connected car's backend, hosted by the automotive company. So allowing use cases such as predictive maintenance, having a clear communication when something is not going wrong, allowing you to act before you're standing on a motorway and have to call the mechanics. Infotainment is another thing. We are used to get all news and real-time information working in a complete digital mode on our iPhones and Android phones. However, if the car is kind of disconnected, we have a lack of experience. So infotainment in a connected car is very important for a lot of drivers and customers of connected cars, whether it's just a simple thing like mirroring your apps you're using on your phone into the car. Typically use case is when you are listening to audiobooks or podcasts, that your podcast application of choice is directly integrated into the car, that you can't not just listen like you can do via just an audio link, but that you can really navigate within your podcasts, within your audiobook, download new things and so on. V2X, communication, so vehicle to something communication, another very important aspect, especially when we're talking about smart cities. When traffic lights, for example, act on depending on how much vehicles are moving in a certain directions, or optimize the whole streaming of the traffic within various cities. And last but not least, third-party services. Probably a lot of you are not in the automotive industry, but providing applications, services, data to other companies. And if you have the chance to provide your third-party services into a car, that's an awesome experience. Think about payment when refueling or when loading your car again. So then you have an electric vehicle, you are at the charging station, you are proceeding, and basically your car is fully integrated into your service ecosystem. There is no decoupling, there is no NFC card you have to add. It's an innovation journey, which is pretty important for a lot of car holders. And yes, 4% won't be still connected in 2030, and this is a challenge, and this is also an aspect why APIs and API management is so important. So in nowadays IT, we are as IT folks very used to change things. So we change API endpoints, we change host names, we change technologies depending on how long you're already working in IT. You have probably seen a lot of things coming and go. However, with a connected car, so when you just look around your neighborhood, you have cars that are pretty new. You have a lot of cars that are kind of medium new, 2, 3, 4, 5 years or something like that. You have a couple of cars that are really old, 10 years, 15 years, and there are car collectors out there who have probably a car 20 years, 20, 25 years plus, and all those cars have to work. And in a couple of countries, for example, in the European Union, car manufacturers are required by law to support the feature set and and have to take their car up to date for a dedicated time, for a dedicated lifetime. Which means if you are rolling out these cars and when you have technical dependencies on how you process APIs and so on, you have a completely new demand, because you can't do just an update and shoot an update out there due to so many technical restrictions. This will change and might change in the future when also the software stacks in the connected car will be updated. However, we have a lot of cars that have been produced in the past which are not supporting over-the-air updates, for example, and then you have to really stick and support kind of legacy interfaces. When it comes to security, I have another statistic, and in my interpretation, kind of 71% of all cyber attacks attack vectors are related somehow to APIs. So to make it precise in numbers, it's 13% about APIs, but 43% of telematics and application service. So not APIs, but basically the base systems that often expose the functionality and the services that are encapsulated in APIs. So the threat landscape is kind of tremendously transforming, and in smart mobility environments, security is a very, very important choice and a very important thing. Think just about protection of your cars for being stolen. So when everyone can just pick their phone, do the unlock button, use it to start the engine and go away, your car is away. So connected car security, API security used in this connected cars is a very crucial factor. Coming to a little bit insights in the automotive ecosystem. How does it normally look like when we are providing some connectivity features for an OEM? Basically, for an identity guy, everything starts with the identity. So other people might see it different. The API folks out there will say everything starts with APIs, and the car guys will say everything starts with the car. However, if you want to have data and services consumed in the context of a natural person, of a user, you have to have a digital identity, a digital customer identity. We name this normally customer identity and access management as a kind of area within the cybersecurity. And basically, a digital customer identity is a digital copy of a customer in the virtual world. So it can be me, it can be you, it can be your friend. And normally, those digital customer profiles, digital customer identities, consist of various aspects. So there is the pure identity on how you can identify the person. It might be just a username, it might be your mobile phone number, it might consist of a password, or nowadays more a passkey. There might be some additional information on how the identity was verified. So is it really a real person, has a driving license or a passport, has been verified? Was there any biometric liveness check, or could it be everyone? You normally collect data, what we call profile and consent. Profile, a little bit of your bio, a little bit of your information, probably where are you living, what car are you driving, whether you have certain preferences. And the consent you have given to the automotive company, to the back end, to anyone. What is somebody allowed to do with the data and the services you expose? Last but not least, a couple of additional insights can be bound to your digital customer identity, allowing cool data analytics use cases, but that's another story from today. And when we look back, also this customer identity has evolved since the beginning of time. In the past, user ID, passwords, or the standard stuff, then there was the way to getting a little bit more better experience, having a convenient login by utilizing and rolling out single sign-on. Then already integration topic has been important. So integrating different systems, breaking up the silos, and this ended in a 360-degree view on the customer. A couple of years ago, this was a very, very hot topic. Nowadays, it's more having the digital identity as an ecosystem, providing data analytics using open API standards to mingle use cases together to provide insights into the customer and allowing the customer to share his data to other services, optimizing his user experience. But this comes in relation to GDPR or CCPA or you name it, need for consent management, that you really can give the consent what will be done with your data, with the services you are providing, and passwordless and other drivers are coming on. So basically, the customer identity is becoming a business driver for so many use cases. And a dream team is for sure customer identity and access management, abbreviation CIAM, and API management, when you are accessing services and data in the customer's context. So when you just look on the left side, that's the CIAM side, you're talking about OAuth as an authentication standard or OIDC. You need the user context, and most of you will be already familiar with those concepts when working with APIs. And on the other hand, on the right side of the picture, API management allows an easy possibility to integrate applications, to provide developer self-services, so to get a completely new speed in producing externally out of your ecosystem new features, new services, hopefully lasting and ending in some monetization in earning good money with your new features. From a typical car data architecture and data flow, I just have a very, very high level. Architecture is too much to say. It's from BMW's API documentation. So basically, the use cases or the connected car backends look often pretty similar. So we have a car data store or the connected car back, and the connected cars out there are communicating with the backend. It's somehow linked to a customer, the owner of the vehicle, or both. And when a third party wants to access those data and services, you request for access, you request clearance, for example, for fetching telematic data. And the owner of this data, so the customer, has to approve or reject. So in my terminology, has to give consent. And if this is done, the connected car data backend is able to communicate with third parties and allow completely new use cases. And we are talking about a certain kind of data set. This is not an finalist, but I like this point of view from BMW very much, as they have broken down various data types into different categories. First of all, vehicle-based data, so kind of very easy and standard data that are kind of assigned to the vehicle. Available mileage, probably concrete service requirements, and kind of that stuff. So more or less hard and fixed data. Category 2, as the name is usage-based data, which is far more interesting. Daily mileage, kind of average fuel consumption, driving behavior, this kind of stuff, where you really can build more sophisticated use cases on it. Then another category are event data, with events, whether you have an accident, whether your battery goes down, your tires have too less pressure, kind of that stuff, followed by some basic data with being able to describe this car a little bit better, to have kind of pre-rendered images from the car, technical details, all the stuff you need when you, for example, have to figure out a problem or debug it. And last but not least, and this is a very exciting category, because e-mobility, electric vehicles, create so much need for an API integration and for all this digital ecosystem, that the electric vehicle data is very interesting, so that you really can get the information on the remaining electric range, that you can really optimize your driving routes depending on the area where you're living, that you are making the stop in the right time, that it's a convenient experience for you, and that you have not to queue up in front of the last charging station coming up. I've picked out, as promised, 2 use cases which might be an inspiration for you to dive a little bit deeper. As said, bottom right side, the public sources are linked, so you can in real time now access this information from Mercedes. Register as a developer and play around a bit with the API. This is an example of an hazard warning API and a hazard warning use case, where you have basically the motivation to increase safety and optimize navigation services. So to avoid dangerous traffic situations like slippery roads or heavy rain areas, where you can figure out also a bit of the healthiness of your car when figuring out information from your bumpers, potholes, and this kind of stuff, and optimize not only your safety but also navigation experience. Another use case which I liked very much is unlock real-time and historical parking insights in urban areas. So everyone knows it, being in the center of the city, having an appointment, being a little bit too late, and you need a parking lot. And if there's no parking garage nearby, you try to park your car at the street, but you have no clue where is a good place, and everything seems to be super crowded. Coming from that, if the fleet out there is collecting the information, so what's a typical parking space, what's the weekly distribution, what's even the hourly distribution, you can enrich this information on your maps and giving you recommendation where the likelihood to get a parking lot is higher compared to other areas. This is not a guarantee, because if you want to have a guarantee, you need probably different technical measures and a far more real-time experience. However, when there is a statistical significance there, why not? So it eases your life. It's a great user experience. So it helps from this point a lot as well. But now this question, and what about security? API security is crucial. So do everything to secure your valuables, and that's a lot of scenarios, the customer and the customer's data, because when they are breached, when they are disclosed, you have a problem. It's attacking your brand and your customer trust. It endangers your customers' relationships and loyalty. It is increasing the risk of having financial losses and legal consequences if you have not done and sorted the things right. And it's a risk for your business. So it's very important to educate everyone on the importance of API security, whether it's your developers, whether it's your management. So don't forget this stuff, and especially consider all aspects to keep everything secure, and this continuously. So it's not a one-time effort, as the integration based on APIs is such a charming use case. You can develop new combination, new services based on external data quite quickly and expose this into a new baked offering as well. But don't forget to continuously test your stuff. And a couple of recommendations I'd like to give you on the way. Sometimes we tend to reinvent the wheel because it's nice to code this stuff, but I strongly recommend all my customers stick to compliance and to standards. So there are standards out there, industry standards, compliance regulations, whether it's in the area of data protection, GDPR, CCPA, whether it's about vehicle security, whether it's identity standards like OIDC or the OAuth protocol, on how to ensure a proper authorization flow and authentication flow. All this is pretty well specified, so please do not reinvent the wheel by yourself. Just rely on existing standards and try that everything is according to those standards and that everything is meeting relevant security specifications and certifications. Set up proactive security measures. So as said, continuous testing on every area. Last week we have seen what can happen when an outage is happening. So stick on testing. Provide good information when you are the API provider to someone else, to your developers using a developer portal, and just do not educate them on how they use your API. Probably include some security guidance and usage guidance on how to include your API endpoints in a proper and secure way as well. Basically, you are connected to them somehow. So even if it's their fault, if your clients are not implementing or securing their processes and apps right there, you will be affected somehow anyway when data of your customers is breached in a third-party application. Be proactive and establish proactive measures to secure APIs, continuous testing and continuous testing for all aspects, and ensure developer education. The attack risk vectors are continuously evolving, and every developer should be up to date. Regular assessments, inspect, and response twice. On the one hand, you do for sure already regular security audits or penetration tests. Don't forget to establish a continuous improvement of security, really a continuous improvement process to be always a step ahead. Ensure a proper monitoring and logging, and prepare for incident response. So if an incident is happening, that you really detect the incident on the one hand. When you, for example, talk about identity threat detection and response from my area, and be prepared for responding when the worst case has happened, which might involve, on the one hand, all the more or less business-focused things on communication, legal stuff, and financial stuff, but also from a technical point of view, when you have to shut down developer accounts, access token, API keys, when you have to mass renew secrets you have given away, all that kind of stuff. Think about when the worst case happens, how will you react and how can you make your application or your services, your backend most resilient when something has happened that you are back into business very, very quickly. My key takeaways I would give you as a recommendation: be compliant and stick to standards. Implement proactive security and assess, inspect, and respond at all the time to be prepared when something ugly happens.